Though I don't know why you're cutting IEBC. Wanaweza sema kitu important ambao viewer angependa in my opinion, because it won't take long. You see, what she's saying will address some of the things that are in our bulletin. Unless, I don't know. What do you think? Because that's the deputy chairperson. Yeah. Let's listen to them. And then we can say we have just, that was IEBC issuing a statement. In fact, we should listen and find out what they're saying.
The areas are Makueni County, that is Kibwezi West constituency for 84 polling stations. Then we have Kakamega County, where we have Malaba, Matungu, Mumias West, and Mumias East constituency for 154 polling stations. Allow me to say that when someone goes to the polling station, first you are identified biometrically. If your biometrics cannot allow your details to pop up, then they will use your ID number, the alphanumeric. And by using that, they have to fill a form 32 to show that you've been validated in that way. And if you're not found, then now they'll check if it is the kit or something else that has happened. So ICT officers are on the ground. When they are called upon at the polling station, they check the kit and ascertain that it is the failure of the kit and not any other failure. So these areas that we've allowed, it has been ascertained, and the returning officer has officially written emails to the commission to be given authority to use the manual register. Remember the court ruling that was yesterday, that we have to use that procedure.
My name is Arsenal Maui. This morning I went through a lot of polling stations. You find the names pasted on the walls. Many people's names are missing, and most of them are getting stranded. But a few of the people go to the queues and get their names. I think it's important for the commission to advise those whose names are not on the walls. Those whose names don't appear on the walls to check with the kit, because, like I've just said, many people are getting frustrated and some are turning away and going without voting.
Naitwa Fredrick Mwitiriri, mimi na NTV. Tafadhali mnaweza tuthibitishia ikiwa mwaniaji wa eneo bunge la Vita na chama cha UDA Omar Shalo amekamatwa? Mnaweza tuthibitishia pia mwaniaji wa kiti cha NCA kule Mombasa vile vile cha Chuda kama amekamatwa? Ikiwa unaweza tuthibitishia hilo, tashukuru.
Naitwa Jeremiah from People Daily. I have two questions. What is the reason for the failure of the KIMS kits? And is it something you're facing nationally, or is restricted to some areas? Second question is, are you planning to suspend elections in elders as well?
Allow us to respond to those three. There's the issue of whether the candidates in Mombasa have been arrested. We are working closely with the National Police Service, but that information has not come through. We have the toll-free numbers that you are getting information. So we will give you the update in the next brief. So allow me to call upon any commissioner to respond on the two other questions that have been raised.
Thank you for the question, and I will particularly address the failure of the KIMS kit. What we have received so far and addressed is about 200 failure of KIMS kits out of 46,229. It is not widespread. Technology do break down, and when they do, we have an alternative of how we need to address that, which we have already done. And I think that is a normal thing that is happening. There's nothing ideal in this world. So we still, we expect that 1 or 2 or 10 may actually also present a malfunction. But that does not really mean that it is widespread. It is only 200 out of 46,229.
I wanted to respond to your question. You said outside the polling station, some people, the names are on the register but are not in the kit. I was requesting you give us the names of those stations because that information has not come through, and then we'll follow up and report at our next reporting time. So kindly give us the names. Thank you.
Go ahead and ask me.
Yes, yes.
Okay, my name is Odoma Koremo from the ODM and Asio Media Center. You have given us numbers concerning the number of people who have voted so far by noon at about 30% or something like that. This ranges, is Mombasa and Kakamega within that same range, or whatever you did affected the turnout in those particular two counties? Another thing, there's a report from the ground that in Game constituency in Siaya County, some of the registers, hard copy registers that have been withdrawn. Could you confirm to us in the next presser that this is true? That the RO in Game had withdrawn the manual registers from some of the stations.
Take that.
Thank you very much. First question on the turnout. What we gave you as turnout as at noon is national, not constituency or county specific. I know why you're asking. So we will give you our data at the end of the day, and you can make that conclusion for yourself. So the other thing is about withdrawal. We are not aware. We are in touch with our all 290 ROs. If there is any such incident, we will be able to find out and give you update in the next update. On Eldas, we have sent a commissioner to the ground. The Eldas issue is not a commission problem, it's a security issue. So we have sent a commissioner today morning with a chopper there to go and find out whether there can be a solution out of it. It's militia taking over the whole place and they are fighting in town. So we are trying to work with candidates plus the security so that we can see whether they can vote tomorrow or later in the day. So that conclusion we'll be able to give you in our next update. Yes, Leila?
There's a question from one of my colleagues in South Sea, and the issue there is there are people who had looked into the portal 3 days ago, and their names were there on the register. They are in the line today, and
Repeat, please. There is what?
there are voters who went to the portal 3 days ago,
Which portal?
70,000.
Yes. But today when they go to the polling station, their names are not there and they have not been allowed to vote. This specific polling station is Kirdi in South Sea, and many are still waiting even 2 hours after they arrived. How will you address that this go? Going to the portal and finding out that you are registered, and then when you go to the polling station, your name isn't there.
First of all, portal has no link to the KIMS. It is just where we keep our entire national register so that anybody can check. So the issue of possibly when you go and check in your portal, you are removed or something like that might not arise. But we check people using their biometric or their ID. If you cannot be found, if they have that message and it shows which polling station, the message tells you even which stream you are in a polling center. So they should go to the stream specific and find out. But if you give us the details of the polling station, we'll be able to pick up with the, you said it is South,
South polling station in South Sea.
That is Langata constituency. So we'll be able to find out specific. So we'll take note, and in our next report, we'll give you an update specific. Yes. So we'll come back after. Last one.
Okay, I have a question. My name is Cecilia Lubanga from Lookup TV, and there was an incident today in the morning from a voter who goes by the name Moses Onyango, who lamented that by the time he was reporting at the polling station where he's registered and supposed to vote at Kangemi Social Hall, apparently it was stated that according to the system, he had already voted, yet he was not yet back. So what can you respond to that?
He has already voted?
Yes, according to the system, he had already voted, but apparently he had not even reported to the polling station. So he came later only to find out that by 8 a.m. it is recorded that he had already voted.
Really? I don't think such situation can arise. Because unless you go there and put your fingerprint on the machine, and once you vote, your small finger is inked with indelible ink. There's no way system can mark you as voted.
He was not inked. Yes.
He was?
By the time he was reporting, of course, his finger was not inked. So he was complaining that according to the system, it was already reported that he had voted by 8 a.m. in the morning.
We are not aware of any such incident, and I don't think it can arise going by our system protocol. Because you can only vote by visiting a polling station. You cannot vote online or anything else. So we don't even have online voting. Yes, so when you go to polling station, it is impractical or impossible for system to tell you have already voted. How will you have voted before you have visited the polling station? And it's a first story we are hearing about that, but we will find out. Will you tell us the voter and the polling station? Then we'll be able to find out from the PO whether there is such occurrence. If the such occurrence is supposed to be marked in the polling station diary. There is a PO's diary that they mark anything that looks abnormal or any incident, including anybody who is not a voter who visited a polling station. Yes.
Sorry, naitwa Bonina Fanya na Wero TV. Umekuwa na kizungumkuti kule Meru kata ya Nyaki West ambapo kuna ngombe mmoja kwa jina Mutuma Mugambi amesajiliwa na tume ya IEBC, lakini jina yake picha yake haipatikani. So unazungumzia
Jina yake na nini haipatikani kwa KIMS?
Jina yake na picha.
He's
a voter. He's a candidate.
Yes.
Uh-huh.
He's from Meru. His name is Mutuma Mugambi.
Uh-huh.
Nyaki West. Amesajiliwa na nyinyi lakini picha jina yake haipatikani.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay, we have to find out specifically from the register. Otherwise, it's not possible for me to tell you what has happened. But if you can, since you have a message from him, give us his voter number and ID number and name. Then we'll be able to find out and give you a report. Or in the meantime, you can go to our returning officer. The returning officer has an access to the register of that particular constituency. So you can find out. Yeah. As we give you the details. Because even if I can only ask people in charge of the register to find out using the ID. now that he's not here physically to put fingerprint. But in a polling station, his fingerprint, if he's a voter, will be able to show. If not, barcode of his ID can be read, can be scanned, or an ID number is inserted into the KIMS kit. Those three cannot all fail if you are really a voter.
Good afternoon and welcome to the KISS TV election news. We have just been seeing an update by the IEBC. They've talked about the KIMS kits failures. They've explained that 200 failures have been witnessed across the country out of over 46,000. They've also clarified that in Eldas, where there's a situation where the militia have taken over, they're working with security officers. And also they've clarified that 30% of people have voted so far out of 22 million registered voters. Stay tuned. And of course, in the headlines, we have Roots presidential candidate, George Wajackoyah, hasn't cast his vote yet. We have 3 presidential candidates who have cast their votes. And of course, it's all systems go at the National Tallying Center at the Bomas of Kenya. A very warm welcome to you. Roots Party presidential candidate George Wajackoyah failed to cast his vote after the KIMS kit failed to identify him. Wajackoyah arrived at Indangakalasia Primary School in Matungu constituency at 10:10 a.m. in a 2-vehicle convoy, but could not vote due to a technical error. He engaged briefly with the presiding officer before walking out. He's the only presidential candidate who's yet to cast his ballot. Failure of the KIMS kits was reported in several other polling stations in Matungu constituency. Voting was delayed for over 4 hours in Namulungu, Mirere, Namanga and Khalaba polling centers over failure of the KIMS kits. Elsewhere, 3 out of 4 presidential candidates in this year's election have already cast their votes at their respective polling centers. The first to vote at 6 a.m. was UDA's William Ruto, who voted at Kosachai Primary School in Taribo constituency. The second to vote was Agano Party presidential candidate David Maure at Upper Hill Primary, followed by Azimio candidate Raila Odinga, who cast his vote at around 10:30 a.m. at Kibera Primary School. The Azimio presidential candidate Raila Odinga arrived at Old Kibera polling station to a triumphant welcome. Violent protests today rocked Bogiakumu in Bonchari after a lone gunman shot and injured a man following a political disagreement. Residents said an altercation of a political allegiance to some candidates sparked the shooting at the Bosiabano outside Suneka town at night. There were scanty details on the identity of the shooter, though some residents said he's a member of a local vigilante. The victim suffered injuries to the abdomen. Gesonso Sub-County Commander Charles Machinji said they've already arrested the primary suspect. Voters who had braved the chilly morning at Bandege polling station in Ugenya scampered for safety after gunshots rent the air shortly after the station opened for voting. According to eyewitnesses, security personnel manning the polling station were forced to shoot in the air to save the area assistant chief from agents of a parliamentary aspirant who demanded the administrator leaves the venue. The assistant chief of Kathieno B sublocation in East Ugenya ward, Joash Ogola, was the first in the queue and had just cast his vote when the incident happened. Low voter turnout has been witnessed at Mutomo polling station in Gatundu South. This is where President Uhuru Kenyatta and former First Lady Mama Ngina Kenyatta cast their votes. Gatundu South MP candidate Peter Kibadi said bad weather conditions might have contributed to low numbers. He said Kenyans should come out and vote for leaders who will transform their lives. Now, earlier we spoke to our political analyst, Mr. Felix Olek. Here's what he had to say about the votes.
I think IBC had a major false start yesterday. The cancellation of the gubernatorial contest in Mombasa and Kakamega was huge. I think the net effect is that IBC has disfranchised voters in a major way in those two areas. Remember, IBC also cancelled constituency elections in Kacheliba, in West Pokot, and today morning in Rongai. IBC should do better. They have the resources. We only hope that that kind of mishap is not replicated at the presidential level, because that way this country will be teetering on the brink. Generally this morning, the voting process started very well. The KM's kits have been working fairly well. But we hope that the mistakes that IBC realized yesterday and today morning are not replicated in the main race, which is the presidential contest. In terms of voter turnout, the Electoral Commission is yet to tell us the actual figures, which they should be telling us shortly. But a general overview from the voting process, the voter turnout seems not to be very impressive. The long queues, especially in the city, that have been experienced in the previous elections are not there. If you look at areas like central Kenya, the enthusiasm seems not to be there. Although in the traditional bases of the main presidential contenders, especially in Nyanza and parts of the Rift Valley, the voter turnout seems to be high. We expect the results to start streaming in from around 5 p.m. when the polling stations officially close the voting process. Remember, all polling stations have a maximum of 700 voters. So polling stations that have fewer voters will send in their results first, because results at the polling stations are final. So the IBC bosses at that level will be sending in their results directly to the National Tallying Center. Another set of results, or rather the two sets of results, are sent simultaneously to the National Tallying Center and to the Constituency Tallying Center.
Thank you very much, Felix. And finally, it is all systems go at the National Tallying Center, housed at the Bomas of Kenya, as officials wait for results that are expected to start streaming in after polls close at 5 p.m. Workers and technicians were seen putting last-minute touches to ensure smooth operations of what would be the nerve center of the general election. Security is tight at the premises, with a contingent of police from the APs and GSUs standing guard and patrolling the area. Nairobi security chiefs and area police commanders were also spotted inspecting the premises. At the tallying center, there are allocated spaces for diplomats, election observers, presidential candidates, political parties, observers and stakeholders, as well as IBC staff. Indeed, thank you for joining us for this bulletin. More updates are coming through the day. Keep it KISS TV. I'm Susan Kimasha.